you do not want to assume that people are receiving it. You don't want to be speaking for the next minute and then all of a sudden you feel nobody's responding and then you realize you got cut off, you need to log back in again. Very frustrating experience for most of us. Welcome. My faces are all on this slide. This is Louis Banta in LJMB's Public Speaking and Presentation Pointers free virtual class. Let's start with definition of terms. I'm on a roll here and we have 4 levels. You have to start with conversational skills. You need to be able to converse. And why do I need to emphasize this? A lot of people jump into public speaking seminars or presentation skills programs, but do not have the basics. If a person does not have this, it will take quite a while to work on your ability to at least converse one-on-one. That's why I listed requirements for attendance to this course, because I love to help you level up wherever you are here. And the beneficiaries of this short session are best in the public speaking level. You are good in conversational speaking. You can converse to 1 to 2 small groups. Now let's help you move to public speaking. And if you also want to upgrade your skills in presenting, I included another word there, which is facilitating, just so that we can look at the difference here. Conversational, one-on-one, small groups. Public speaking, you are now dealing with a bigger group, smaller, bigger than your 5 to 10, a class of 15 or a class of 30. Public speaking is simply delivering a message, speaking even without visual aids. When you now put in visual aids in the picture, you're using a PowerPoint deck, or you're using visual aids, or you're presenting graphs, that now becomes presenting information. Now, presenting is one way. You, as the subject matter expert, you have the knowledge, either of a process or knowledge of data that you'd love to present to your audience, or you have a new subject matter that you'd like to convey, you'd like to share to people. That's presenting. It's one way. It's mostly you dumping, giving a lot of information, and the audience as more passive recipients. Facilitating is another. I'd just like to introduce this. We won't touch on facilitating, but facilitating is actually the opposite. If presenting is giving information, facilitating is drawing out information from your audience. Actually, it's no longer called audience. Presenting is to the audience, and facilitating is to a group of people who have an objective. Their objective, for example, is to plan for the future of their company, or to create a vision mission statement. For this period of the year for corporate organizations, it's strategic planning. Or it can be a team in a team building session, they want to create team norms, or they simply want to brainstorm ideas for process improvement, right? So a team has a goal, but they cannot be left to their own devices to create that list of ideas. So here comes a facilitator whose role is not to give information, but whose role is to ask questions, the right questions, and to direct and steer the flow of the discussion. That's why for me, facilitating is a higher order skill than presenting. A good example of facilitating, as we can see more often than not, would be moderators in a talk show. The moderator facilitates the discussion by asking questions and introducing probing questions unplanned, but still being able to keep the guests on topic, but at the same time getting more information from them. Presenting is giving information. Facilitating is drawing out or asking information from others. Several of you here, I guess, are also in the training profession, although I said that this is best given to non-trainers, because definitely trainers will require an advanced level of skill or set of tips. If you ask me where does training come into this ladder or staircase, training, definitely trainers need to have conversational skills and need to have effective public speaking skills. But training is a combination of presenting and facilitating. Whenever you conduct training, you give information, and there are times when you need to draw out information. You ask questions about the insights, stories, examples, and experiences of your participants. That makes training two-way, yes, which is now a combination of presenting, giving, and facilitating, drawing out information. So what I do every day is not just public speaking. A speaker is not a trainer. A speaker doesn't necessarily have to go through the ADI, analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. A speaker gets a topic. Of course, he analyzes his audience. Yes. He prepares his talking points and delivers it. No need to go to the evaluation stage and no design and development, detailed design and development work. But a trainer should also be an effective public speaker. A trainer should be an effective presenter. A trainer should be an effective facilitator, and goes by those 4 or 5 steps: analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. Okay? So you may have heard of the following lessons that I will share. The lessons here are not my monopoly, and you are all in different stages of public speaking. Perhaps there are beginners in the room. Perhaps there are also advanced presenters in the room, or those in between. And we have 45 minutes. I plan to speak through for about 35 to 40 minutes here. And we went through this definition of terms here. Which one do you really want to achieve? You want to be a great public speaker? You want to add visual aids and interacting with the PowerPoint presentation? You now become a presenter. You now want to become two-way master or expert, not just giving information, but also drawing out information and summarizing it. That's a facilitator hat, which now can qualify you to or for a training role. Now, there are 3 things that make effective presenters. And let me use this. I love ladders and staircases when I talk about things that are really best presented in succession. For us to be effective public speakers, going back to the previous slide, I will focus on public speaking because that's the promise in the title, public speaking pointers. I added presenting at the end, just so if some of you speak with the benefit of visual aids or slides, we can also give you tips in presenting if you have those visual aids. But whether you are speaking with or without visual aids, it really has to be subject matter expertise as the first requirement. So this is the first C in public speaking. You do not have any business talking to an audience if you do not have subject matter expertise. And I would look at the names of our participants here. I will know some, if not most. Yes, I know that you are all experts in your respective field. If you are an expert, and I don't mean 100%, an expert is somebody who does not have answers to all questions. Nobody has answers to all questions, especially that the science or the body of knowledge that you represent. You come from finance, you come from psychology, you come from HR, you come from operations. I know we have a diverse background of people here. Nobody will really have 100% answers to all the questions. Okay? But somebody who has subject matter expertise, perhaps with quotation marks, I'll say you have answers to 90 to 95% of the questions that will be thrown to you on in your field. And that came from formal study, that came from education, continuous training, as well as your years of experience. So the first thing that you have to build if you want to be good at public speaking, then presenting is your subject matter expertise, competence. Nowadays, I just have to say this, because of the internet and because of Google, it is really easy to build subject matter expertise or competence. Yes? While you can gather information from the internet and study them, the other aspect that you need to deepen and enrich is your experience. Because you may Google everything, but it's the experience and actual application that really ingrains things and insights and ideas in your head. Enough that when you speak to an audience, when you stand in front of an audience, you can practically say things naturally, spontaneously, because you experienced them. Competence, though, is basic and essential, but there's another C that you need. Competence ideally should lead to the next C. And what do you think is this next C? Let's engage our audience here in the room. This C is actually one of the most frequently asked questions. This is often in the most frequently asked question in public speaking or presentation skills classes. What do you think is this C word that people want to have, that people may lack, that people may have issues with in presentations? Yes, thank you. I'm getting the same answer from three people. Hello, Sel, you're here. And that is confidence. Correct? Ideally, and I really believe in this, the more competence you have, ideally, the more confidence you should also have. Right? The most confident people should be those who are really well entrenched in their subject matter, well immersed in their functional area. Done that, been there, done that, study this, no? Combination of education, experience, and formal training. However, our observation is this is not automatic. It is not true that people who have the competence will necessarily have the confidence. I saw some people decorated in terms of degrees. I've actually met a lot of them. They have grand ideas, very intelligent here, very good in one-on-one discussions, can engage small groups, but put them on the stage. They will lull people to sleep. Okay? And then, as a running joke in one of the classes that I conducted, some presenters could really be human tranquilizers. Be with me, let's just have fun, light and fun. Some presenters can be human tranquilizers. Or some who have deep subject matter expertise may stand on stage but shake and really project that nervousness. So competence, while it should lead to confidence in real life, it's not the case. So there are really tips that you can do to increase confidence. And let's go back to this word confidence at the end of all of the tips and tips that I will give you. The third C is the highest level for me. These three C's are actually the three indicators of a great public speaker, presenter, and trainer. Number one, competent. You should really give right information. You can't give false information. You can't fake it. Yes, either you have it or not. But it doesn't guarantee that you will have confidence. And please, be with me. Have you encountered speakers, trainers, and presenters who don't possess a high level of subject matter expertise, yet they move on the floor and on stage with such confidence that you will actually believe what they're saying, even if they themselves, they don't have a high level of competence? Would you agree that sometimes confidence can be high, even if competence is not that high? I did not say low, okay? Competence should at least meet the minimum requirement. You don't need to know all the answers. Just meet the minimum requirement. But confidence is actually a different thing. The last C, my dear friends, you want to be a great public speaker, you need to aim for connection. Now, think about confidence. I mentioned confidence, right? Confidence is really standing there. You're not showing your signs of nervousness, or you actually don't have signs of nervousness. And you can see this in body language. You can look straight at the eyes of your audience. You can make gestures, use gestures as you speak. And gestures are very difficult to use when you're nervous, because when your hands are shaking, you will not use your gestures. That's why when people are afraid, when people don't have the confidence, we usually put our hands where? Let's look at the chat room. Let's look at the chat room. You usually put your hands where? You put them inside your pockets. Yes. Hello, Chai. Hello, Reggie. No? Or you put them behind your. Okay. Yes, you put them there, and the audience is wondering what are the hands doing there when you should best use your hands to gesture so that something accompanies your verbal delivery. So confidence. Wala pa ako sa connection. I'm not yet in connection. I just spoke about confidence. Sometimes people get turned off if the speaker goes overboard in terms of confidence. Yes, we want a speaker who's confident enough, but we don't want a speaker who thinks that he's the most intelligent person in the room. And that's where the connection comes in. The highest level, the highest indicator, the best indicator of a great public speaker is that he connects with his audience. Restated, a competent speaker, the audience gives his feedback. You know what? He's intelligent. He knows what he's saying. Let's go to confident speaker. Wow, so impressed. He really delivers his topic so well. He's engaging. An audience to a speaker who connects. I'm going to do what he's saying right after this talk. And when somebody in the audience says that, I'm going to do what he's saying, it already went beyond he's good. He delivers well. He's so engaging. A speaker who can connect so well has the ability to influence his audience. I know I'm giving you the basics, but in real life, these are things that presenters forget. So far, so good. Just checking with our audience. Are you still with me? And so far, so good. Are you still with me? Chat with me. Chat with me. Say me. Say me. M-E. All right, perfect. A lot of people are still with me. Those who do not respond will be automatically logged out of our Zoom room. Of course, I'm just joking. Okay? The use of humor as well in presenting. What I also like about these virtual presentations is that I have the benefit of tools around me. Right? Let me give you my magic secret or secret recipe here, or secret or magic, however you want to call it. The ability of the presenter to also use different words. I have 3 gadgets here which are open. If I'm speaking on stage, I should not have any reference, so I need to memorize everything and really practice so hard. What I like about this virtual presentation environment, my dear friends, is that I can have my talking points ready in front of me on this side, and I can have another set here with all of my slides shown so that I know what's coming up next, so that I can prepare a transition statement. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, going back to our discussion earlier, do not worry. I said that you are all in different levels of public speaking ability. All great speakers were once bad speakers at first. I also had to struggle with public speaking before. I grew up as a shy, quiet kid, highly introverted. At age of 10, 11, 12, I realized it. I don't play much with the too many kids. I choose friends that I would be with. School, house, that's my routine. School and house. There weren't too many malls back then when I was growing up. Yes. And I realized that I have to get out of that shell. And I will not bore you to death with a story of 30 plus years on how I was able to go through that. And what's tough about what I'm doing here in this virtual class is that I also need to role model what I am saying here. Let's talk more about confidence. You want to boost your confidence. So showing me in one of the conferences where I spoke to hundreds of people, close to 800 people, focus on knowing what to say, focus on knowing how to say it, and also knowing who will hear your message. Frequent question, Louis, how do I increase my confidence? Do you know what to say? Because if you're tongue-tied, if you did not prep your talking points here, you will not be able to deliver what you do not have. Now, you have a message, you have an idea, you have a proposal, you know the process. but you may not know how to say it. And this is where the choice of words would really come in, my dear friends. A lot of people have great ideas. This is where the competence, what to say, is different from how to say it. And in the world today, where there are a lot of competition, a lot of competing stuff, attention, or well, lots of things compete with us when we're trying to get the attention of our audience. When they are in a Zoom call, a lot of things and interruptions and distractions in the household can be present. Better if we give concise statements, clear statements, and on point. So that's my tip on knowing how to say it. Always be on point with what you're saying. Otherwise, you've lost them. Knowing who will hear it, I'll mention this in the next few slides because I will jump now to audience. Everything starts with the audience, my dear friends. And as I said, preparation is key. It leads to competence, and your level of competence should also deepen your confidence. Start with the audience. Who are they? And I have to look at who enrolled in this class in the past 2 days. I was always monitoring who's attending. Some people I know, some people I don't. Okay? But in a more serious class, I would really have to take a look at profile in terms of demographics, age, experience, what else, position titles in the organization. Some topics can also be, you need to have information about the gender composition of the team because your examples would also have to be based on the profile of your audience. Culture and nationality is also an important factor. I deliver a lot of training workshops involving multicultural groups. Europeans, North Americans, and Asians will be in one class. So I have to be conscious who's in my class. There's a question earlier that I had to ask because I need to be sensitive with my audience. And that question was with regard to language. Okay? So start with the audience. Who is your audience? Some speakers, presenters, or trainers will deliver the same thing, same topic, same slides, same talking points, even if they're presenting to different audiences. If there's much to say about this one, but just the key point that I'd like to give here is the same presentation deck, PowerPoint deck, presented to different audiences. Sometimes you present to your boss, you present to management, your talking points will differ because you might be selling the proposal to management. Now, when that proposal is approved, you may use the same PowerPoint deck, but now selling it to your peers, the talking points will be different. When you're talking to people down below, staff level, your talking points will also be different. When you're talking to management, you focus on business benefits, you focus on more sales, greater revenue, cost savings, and efficiency. When you're talking to people down below, you talk about how it will make their work easier, how it will be convenient for them, what's in it for them as employees. Okay? And when I say start with the audience, hello, Kabyo, sis, kausta? Okay? Who are they will also mean you would expect and anticipate what they want to hear, what they need to know, what their questions are, what their objections are, and what your reactions are. Okay? And I'm ready for your reactions later in the Q&A. Please hold on to your questions and reactions. Yes? If you do not want questions, if you do not want objections in your presentation, then you have to anticipate these questions and objections. What will my audience think? How will my audience most likely react when I say something? What questions will my audience ask? Capture all of those and build that in your presentation. There are two things that can happen. When you ask any questions in one presentation, people will look at each other and nobody says a thing. And you're now bothered. Did they even learn something? Did they even listen to anything I said? in one presentation, you ask for questions. And they would say, no questions, it's crystal clear. Your presentation actually answered a lot of my questions. And this is the slide that you need for that. Start with the audience. Who are they? Going back to confidence, my dear presenters and speakers, if you want to be confident, know who are the people in your audience. Because if you bring in all the answers to their questions, to the anticipated questions, you can look them in the eye. You can speak to them and talk to them as if saying, come on, ask me a question. I know the answer to that. 5:34, being very conscious of the time. Are you still with me, guys? Are you still with me? Looking at the chat box now. Okay, getting the yes, yes, yes. Are you finding this useful? Am I making sense? Please type in sense. If I am making sense, please type in sense. Okay, perfect. Now, audience is the first. So when people ask me, Louis, what do you think of this? How should I do it? I will always say, go back to the audience. Louis, what should I wear in the presentation? Who's your audience? Are they business people who expect to see somebody formal? Or are they people who will be intimidated? If I come in here with a tuxedo, you will be intimidated. This is not the type of presenter that I will listen to. He's too high. And yes, we need to guard against that intimidation. Remember the highest C? What is the highest C again? Just checking the highest C earlier. Competence, confidence. Highest C is connection, correct? So even your attire, even how you look like, yes, even the slides, correct? If my audience are elementary students, let's say I give a free talk to elementary students, this will not be business people. I should have cartoons in my slides. And you get the point there. Let me proceed now to the next one. What do you see? You see a dartboard, you see 3 darts there. Bullseye. When you're presenting, my dear friends, you want to be a great presenter, you need to know what your objectives are or goals in presenting. Most presenters only focus on one dart. What is that one dart? They just want to inform. And anytime I do basic presentation skills, what's your reason for presenting? I want to inform my audience. I want to update my audience. I want to share what I know. Inform, update, share, give information. All is under that same dart. You just want to give information. So what? What is the problem with giving information? It now leads to the usual pitfalls when you're delivering presentation. Boring opening. Good morning. My name is Louis Banta. My topic for today. Here's my agenda. And then you go from one slide to another. Because the mindset is to inform, the presenter is saying something like, these are my slides, these are the materials, I just like to share this. How do you end that presentation? You end it by saying what? How do people usually end their presentations? When you're ending, come on, chat with me. When you're ending your presentations, what are the usual lines when you're ending? Come on, looking at the chat box here. What are the usual? That's it. That's all. Do you have any questions? Thank you for listening. Perfect. Can we stop with these? Do you have any questions? That's awkward, right? Do you have any questions? And then the audience is not asking questions. You repeated questions? No questions. It's so awkward. Wait, again, which makes you think, did they even listen to anything? Did they learn something? What's the other one? Thank you for listening. What I learned in public speaking, advanced level, is do not thank your audience. Do not thank your audience. Why? It's not you doing them a favor. Yes? Thanking your audience is somehow saying, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for... No, if you really think you're adding value to your audience, they should be the one to talk to you at the end of your speech or talk, and they should say, that was nice, that was great, I learned a lot. Thank you for changing my mindset. So see, if you are in the informed objective, it already shapes how you will deliver your speech or talk. If you are in the informed mindset, you will end with, because you've already given all the information, you end with, that's all, that's it. And no matter how you analyze that's all, even if you convert it into Tagalog, that's it and that's all is belittling the value of your presentation. What is that's it? Allow me to speak in Tagalog. That's it. Yun lang. Yun na yun. Pinaghirapan mo. I'll speak in English now, translate that. You spent a lot of time and effort preparing for that presentation. Yes. And then you will just say that's it and that's all at the end. Why? Because the mindset is to inform, my dear friends. You need to move from inform to inspire. And from inspire to influence, my dear friends. Inform is mind, logical, you're giving, dumping information. Inspiring is the heart. Have you ever presented bad news? Have you presented a chart, low sales, low results? But you inspired your team, you inspired your audience. Hey guys, even if the results are low, we have action plans like this, 1, 2, 3. We can do it. We will execute this effectively. We can grow it, get the market back. We can get customers once again. So informing is one thing. I can show you, I can inform you of poor results on a slide, but the ability to inspire people to have hope is a better objective. And the highest objective of all when you're presenting is to influence. You always have that ability to influence people. I always aim to influence. I did not organize this 1 hour just to inform you. Otherwise, I could have just put everything on a handout and emailed it to you and saved us a lot of time. I am here because I want you to influence your audiences. And if you do that, I've influenced you in this talk. Are you still with me, my dear friends? Are you still with me? Are you still with me? Perfect. Now, there are 3 elements of interpersonal communication. I said I want to have 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes of Q&A. If we're not able to do that, maybe 2 to 3 minutes. So prepare your questions, please. And if you're willing to extend, I am willing to extend. I don't have anything. Well, I have a meeting, but I can push it back, no? For you, if you're willing to extend for, let's say, 5, 10, 15 minutes. Whenever we communicate, whether conversational speaking or presenting in public speaking, there are 3 things that we always use. You know this already. 1, 2, 3. Words, voice, and body language. Yes? And in face-to-face communication, which one of these has the most impact to the audience that you're talking to? Which of the 3, words, voice, and body language, has the most impact to the person that you're talking to? Sige nga. Okay, magbatuhan nga tayo. We don't have a poll question ready, but it's okay. I'm seeing body language and voice. Nobody chose words. It's voice and body language here. Perfect. Thank you so much. We have enough responses. We will now show the study of Professor Merabian of UCLA. In face-to-face communication, words are just 7% in terms of impact. Voice is 38%, 5 times more powerful than your words is your voice. If you do the math, the remaining 55% is now your body language. This was pre-COVID. Yes, we will have to tweak some of our body language in this virtual environment. What does this mean, my dear friends? I can say good morning to you in 2 different ways. Yes, I can say, good morning, everyone. And I can say, good morning. See, I had the same set of words, good morning, but the voice tone is different and the body language is different. And I'm sure that even if the 2 people whom I just role played said the same word, good morning, the impact is different. The voice tone. If you take out body language, for example, let's take out body language. Okay, I'll just cover my camera here. If I take out body language, yes, the voice tone still communicates 5 times more powerful than words. Now, if you add video, which is why in this virtual environment, if you have video in your video meetings or in a training, if you're the one speaking, you need to use video. If it's a small meeting of 3 to 5 people, it's best if you use the video. Okay? Because there's a lot of understanding that we can get by just looking at the body language of people in the meeting. Okay? So remember this, choose the right words to say, deliver this in the right voice tone, and deliver this with the right body language. For some of you who might be starting, this needs a lot of practice because you have to choose the words that you need to give a gesture to. So what did I just do? That you need to give a gesture to. If I put my gesture on the wrong word, for example, because there are so many words that you have to be a gesture to. Diba? And then I did my gesture right after the words. It has to be spontaneous. It has to be natural. And that's the thing when you really internalize the message of your talk or training. Key message. I just said message. You need to be clear on your key message. What is your key message, my dear friends? Your key message is, what is that one message from your presentation or talk that you would like the audience to remember? What is that one message that you would like the audience to remember? You know, the longer the talk, the more difficult to answer this because there are a lot of things that you're giving. But this also helps you to work within limited time. Has this ever happened to you? You were told you had 30 minutes, and then come the day of the event, you were told, sorry, we don't have much time. You only have 15 minutes or 5 or 10 minutes. Has that ever happened to you? Please say yes. Please type in yes if that has ever happened to you. So you prepared for 30. Wow, you prepared for 30 and now you only have 10 minutes. What are you going to do? You are going to compress your material and you will just focus on the essentials. Worst case scenario, and this can happen when you will present to board of directors, when you will present to senior management, you've been waiting outside the room, for example, now the virtual room, and you were asked to come in and say, we only have 5 minutes. Wow, you prepared for 30 minutes, now you only have 5 minutes. What will you talk about? Talk about your key message. So you should always be clear with your key message, my dear friends. Because the key message will now affect your talking points. When I say will now affect your talking points, what will you say from opening to closing? So consider this your outline. Whether you call it outline or presentation flow or agenda or structure or end-to-end, this would be your guide. What are those blue boxes, Louis? Those blue boxes could refer to slides, presentation slides, as in PowerPoint slides, from end to end or from start to end. Or they can pertain to talking points that you have. Again, I like it that in this virtual presentation environment, I have my talking points here in my iPad just beside of me, which I cannot have pre-COVID because I would need to memorize them. I can't look back and refer to this. Of course, I'm not reading it. Yes, but you can refer to it comfortably as compared to before. You have to prepare for a creative opening. If there's a word that should describe your opening, it should be a creative opening. Why creative opening? Remember first impressions? We judge people based on first impressions. So if we hear somebody say, good morning, everyone. My name is Louis Banta. My topic for today, oh, I've heard that style. I've seen that many times. And when you've seen the style so many times, there's nothing new. What's your conclusion? Boring presenter. So my tip for you, always come up with a creative opening. Part of my creative opening is, this is not Ogie Alcacid, this is Louis Banta. And of course, it breaks down the house. No, the audience erupts with laughter. come up with your own. Don't just go with the look-alike thing. A creative opening can be a quotation. A creative opening can be, don't greet people, but say something about something relevant to the audience. Okay? Or you can give the headline. Instead of saying good morning, you can say, welcome to this presentation. Today, we will make your job easier with this revised process. Look at that opening. Today, we'll make your job easier through this revised process. Let me use the example of my good friend, our podcast guest, Charlene Lucas. Charlene could start with an opening what? Did you know that? Trivia. Did you know that? Sorry, I have to say this. No? Did you know that? Help me with this one. Did you know that for every 40 seconds, somebody commits suicide? Am I right? That's the statistic.
Yes. That was
Wow.
before COVID,
Oh,
and now we don't know.
if you give that statement, that's already a powerful opening. Did you know that every 40 seconds, somebody in the world commits suicide? And the audience will now do, that's new trivia. You already captured their attention because you did a creative opening. Let me tell you, then you proceed to the rest. And then the other one is closing. Your closing statement, my dear friends, they might remember how powerfully you started your talk or your presentation, but it's the closing that also counts. We just talked about, that's it, that's all, Q&A. Yes. For me, I want to end with a Q&A. I will also not end with that's it and that's all because I know I give value to my audience. I will end with CTA. What is CTA? CTA is call to action. No, that's all. No, that's it. I also don't want to end with a quote. Yes. What I would end with is a call to action. Okay. Yep. We're just hearing some background noise here, just checking with everyone to put their microphones on mute. Okay. Where was I? We still have background noise. Once again, calling for everybody to LJMB team. Only if you're here, Rain or Eliza, can you please make sure that we are able to help our audience to unmute their microphones? It may be unintentionally pushed on. Where were we? I was talking about closing. Call to action. Action. What part of speech is equivalent to action? Verb. Choose a powerful verb. Remember, you want to influence the audience. What is it that you want them to be able to do right after your presentation or during the presentation? Do you want approval? If you're talking to your higher management, do you want approval for more resources, approval for hiring? If you're talking to an audience because you guested in a show and you're talking about a specific topic, what is that verb or action that you want them to do? I remember Charlene in her podcast guesting with us, she left me with powerful action words. Challenge your thoughts. Because the topic was mental wellness. I have to challenge my thoughts. Yes. And that's what I've been doing, Cha, for the past weeks after the podcast guesting with you. And she influenced me because that's a powerful word. Whenever you're thinking of anxiety or thinking of depression or thinking of the past that you can no longer do anything about or thinking about the future that hasn't happened yet, challenge your thoughts. Wow. I might forget about the speaker, but I will not forget about the lesson because to us speakers, what's important anyway is your influence on the audience. Diba? You're still with me with 9 minutes to go? With 9 minutes to go, are you still with me? Let's see, because if nobody answers, we will all be automatically logged out. No, just checking. You know, one of the things that I also wanted to do is to have light and fun moments with my audience. We're not able to do anymore the in-person on-site laughter, right? You crack a joke and then everybody laughs. No? So just looking at some faces in the thumbnails, no, and looking at the chat here. Wow. Opening to end. Yes, closing. Now, what's also important is the transition statement. If you use slides or visual aids from one slide to another, you need to have a transition statement or a segue. What is a transition statement or a segue? What you say when you are in slide A, you start saying it when you're in slide A, and then you finish. You continue saying it when you go to slide B. Let me do a transition. Let me do a transition. Lights, camera, demonstration. Let's do it. Lights, camera, action. We tackled about the opening. We discussed that the closing should be a call to action. But what about those slides in between? From one slide to another, you also have to deliver what you call a transition statement. I just role model giving a transition statement. Okay? Because others will do it this way. What will others do? Others will do it this way. I'm trying to go back. Others will just press the next button and will just say the title of the slide, transitions. Okay? Don't just press it and go to the next slide without introducing it. That's the purpose of saying something here, and then you move on to the next. So what appears to the audience is a seamless movie. If you just press next slide without saying anything and just read the title, what happens? It appears like parts of the movie have been cut. Nangyari. What happened? So transitions are very important to me. For me, it's even a mark of an effective presenter, a professional presenter, is to use transition slides. Let's talk about body language. There are 8 elements of body language here. If we split dressing and grooming. But in this virtual environment, this has been reduced to 4. And what are these 4? Eye contact. If you noticed, I would look at the camera, which is what I'm doing now, which means I cannot see my slide, I cannot see the chat room, I cannot see your faces, thumbnail, I cannot see my talking points. But this is the most important thing to look at when you are presenting in this online virtual setup. This is the most important thing to look at. Never mind the slides and what the talking points beside me. Most important thing is that you feel connected with me when I do this. Of course, I don't mean to intimidate you. It's different when I do it this way, correct? But I don't mean to intimidate you. Do you feel connected with me, my dear audience, when I look here? Come on, come on. Do you feel connected with me? Yes. But if I do not look at the camera, if I look elsewhere and I would just talk and just continue to talk, or you get fixated on the slides, you look at the slides because the data is there anyway. Anyway, the screen is shared. Others will see it. Connect with the audience. Remember the last C, connection with the audience. Now, eye contact is one. Your facial expressions, be wary, be aware of your facial expressions. Anything that you do here gets magnified. If you click on my face in Zoom, my face becomes 50% or the entire screen of your laptop. Yes or no? If I frown, if I smirk, if I make faces here, right? It can even be recorded. Yes? Or people can take a screenshot of this one. My dear, if some of you are leaders and you're conducting video meetings, beware of your facial expressions in your video meetings. You can make or break somebody else's day. For all you know, that face is the first smiling face, first positive face that they will see for the day. Right? Otherwise, don't turn on your video if you have problems controlling your facial muscles. Some people are intimidating without them knowing it. I know I'm suplado. People say I'm suplado if I do not smile. So what I do is to add that element of whenever I smile, the universal neutralizer of any facial expression. You have eyes that make you look masungit, right? Or strict. Facial expression. Get feedback from others. 2 more body language items. Posture. Posture is important. Yes? You can slouch in front of the video camera. Right? So make sure that. And gestures as well. So I make sure that my screen here, I'm not too close to the camera. I'm also not too far. So when I utilize gestures, and I love talking with gestures, it's natural for me to be able to, for example, emphasize a point just like what I'm doing right now. I am emphasizing points using different kinds of gestures. Don't use the same gesture like this, right? Because it doesn't mean a thing. But if you say 4 types of body language are important in this virtual setup, I just used 3 gestures. 4 types of body language are important in this virtual setup. Those 3 are intentional. Do not use gesture that is irrelevant to what you're saying. Yes. Eyes, look at the camera. Facial expression, I did say poker face, but more often than not, give a positive, project a positive facial expression. Okay. Posture, and then gestures. Wow. 2 minutes to go. Let's go to the last part. What do I want to share here? I started teaching in the academy. 1992, I was teaching in the academy. I was using a board. One of my students is here. Cell Valles is here. Hello, Cell. I was using a blackboard. All I had was 3 pieces of chalk. 3 pieces of chalk lang ang dala-dala ko noon. I would have used 3 pieces of chalk. I know that it will last for 1 hour. And then I shifted to overhead projectors. Yes, I would buy acetates, 3M, and then opted for the plastic covers bought in Divisoria. I would write with colored pens. I would bring that bulky. And then there was the flip chart. And then we now have PowerPoint. We can now print the slides. So I don't need to use my hands in drawing and lettering. There's now overhead projector. Wow. In the span of 28 years that I've been talking, technology has evolved so well. Who buys a projector nowadays? All of a sudden, a projector has been rendered obsolete. Everything is here. Yes. My dear friends, one of our fixations is PowerPoint deck, PowerPoint slides. If the file doesn't open, we cannot present, right? Oh, technical issue, delay, IT, yes. And we panic. My dear friends, while you call the PowerPoint as the presentation, it's just a visual aid. A visual aid. It's just an aid. It will not speak by itself. It will not speak for itself. The presenter is the most important thing. The message is important, the talking points, the opening to closing. Your visuals aid. It just helps. Of course, if I don't have a slide here, yes, if I don't have a slide, I will really have to work double time because I am the slide. I become the slide. But if I have some slides, there's another thing that catches the audience's attention, that engages you. But if there are problems with your deck, with your slides, it cannot be shared, but shared through Zoom. There's a problem in opening the file. It's okay, my dear friends. PowerPoint is not the presentation. It's just a tool. And there can be other tools. I can just use a whiteboard here. If I can use a white, for example, if this is a whiteboard and I can just write here, that can be my visual aid. My dear friends, you are the presentation. You in the audience. Even if something happens to my slides now, even if it doesn't open, it's okay. I have competence, subject matter mastery. I have confidence because I know my audience. I know what I'm talking about. I know what to say because I've practically done this millions of times. Exaggeration. Yes. So what's important is you and me. The visuals are just aids. 6:01. Let me wrap up. This is now the new presentation. Yes. Zoom. Look, it's a multicultural group. I like it now because I'm able to address audiences wherever. We have really, broken down borders and barriers. It's now much easier to reach any audience in any country. Last, as I close, Do you agree? Practice makes perfect. Type in your answer. Do you agree? Some of you may need to log out. I understand. It's okay. You agree? Yes. Do you agree? Really? Do you agree? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let me now say this. I disagree. I disagree. See, creative opening. See, creative opening, no? Got you there. Practice makes perfect? No. What if you practice the wrong thing? What if you picked up a wrong habit you watch a speaker, okay, that's the way to do it, and then you pick it up and then use it, you practice it, it gets ingrained in you. Yes? What if you practice once a year? You get rusty because the element of practice has to be regularity. Practice makes perfect if number one, you over practice. You have to practice frequently. You have to practice. Agree, you have to practice frequently. Whether it's basketball or swimming or cooking, whatever you are doing, you only become good at it if you reach 10,000 hours according to Malcolm Gladwell. How can you reach 10,000 hours in your craft if you do not over practice? I'm just a lucky guy because since the age of 13, I've been talking to my church Sunday group. I've been teaching kids every Sunday. So that was my practice age of 13, 14, 15. I was a youth leader. So even before I went to corporate, I was speaking, addressing World Youth Day participants in 1993. 3,000 of them, I was on stage. I had my practice. And when I went to teaching, I would teach every day. I would train every day. Every day, I'm still practicing. Would you even agree, my dear friends, I'm still practicing right now? Yes, this is practice. This is practice. What about you? When will you practice? That's why I said non-trainer. You're in finance, you're in HR, you're in operations, you're in customer service, whatever client you have, volunteer to present in your next possible opportunity. That's your assignment. Volunteer to present, because I also learned from a lot of mistakes that I had in the past. I taught the wrong formula. I was doing product training for an insurance company. I taught the wrong formula. Imagine, I taught the wrong formula. How do you wiggle out of your way there, diba? I taught locals, and then I went to training different nationalities, and I would learn things differently. I went to Indonesia, I went to India, I went to Germany. I had to study the culture. It's over practice for me. How will you over practice? Yes, but some of us, when we're being asked to present, no, please spare me. Don't. I'll do everything. Just don't make me present. For the others who really want to practice, volunteer, guest in as many shows that you can. Offer free sessions for practice. Let me move on to the next one. You might over practice, but if you're practicing the wrong thing, my dear friends, if you're practicing the wrong thing, not good as well. You have to do perfect practice. In sport, some of you play golf, some of you play tennis. There can be wrong moves, yes? There can be wrong strokes. Make sure that you practice perfectly.
Hi, this is Louis Banta, CEO and Chief Consultant of LJMB, or Learning Just Made Better. Thanks for watching my video. To get more videos like this, click subscribe and hit the bell icon below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and share this to others.